Fantasy Footballers Sunday Live.
What's up, everybody? It's week 15. We're here. We made it. It's playoff time. Well, I mean, I guess we got started, whatever, last night, Thursday. But whatever. It is the main slate. Welcome into week 15 to Sunday Live. Your once-a-week Tilt Fest. I'm your host, Mike the Fantasy Hitman Wright from the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Thank you for joining me. Here we go. And what a wild week it has been. None more evident than the news that I'm about to go through, because it's absurd. The list is very long, but crazy times call for crazy lists, and we all got to be prepared the best that we possibly can. And I'm going to try and help you do that. My best friend, my avian friend, the Owl Borland, is on the ones and the twos. He'll be holding it down for the production booth back there. Oh, but we might as well get into the news.
The big picture.
All right, at the quarterback position, Lamar Jackson is questionable for the Ravens. He is an afternoon game. And the quote was, long shot for Lamar Jackson to be active in this game. I mean, unless you have you could have a better pivot. Like, for an afternoon game, you have the night game, 2 Monday night games, and a Tuesday game. So maybe you actually do have a pivot for Lamar Jackson. But at this point, with that type of a quote, I mean, you can't – I'm not playing him. That's how I'm treating it. Baker and Case Keenum, they are both questionable with the new rules and the new changes. I guess it's possible that they are back. Jalen Hurts remains questionable for Tuesday's game. The time off certainly had to help him return to the field. And then for Washington, Taylor Heineke is, in fact, questionable now, so he may make it back, or he may be ready to go. And, he was on the COVID list, so he may make it back for Washington. That's just the quarterbacks, ladies and gentlemen. All right, into the meat and the potatoes we go. Running backs, Myles Gaskin and Savon Ahmed, they are both back for Miami. After all the speculation, Malcolm Brown did not make it back from the IR, probably because Myles and Ahmed were back, but Myles Gaskin is back to as strong of a start for an RB2 that you can get with the matchup against the Jets. The Arizona Cardinals, both Chase Edmonds and James Conner are active. Pretty surprising to me with the way that Conner went down, the way that they handled him all week. But of note, Eno Benjamin is inactive. So the Arizona Cardinals are clearly confident that James Conner is, in fact, ready to go and handle his normal workload should he be called upon. Tony Pollard will play for the Dallas Cowboys. They said he should be in for the report going around, if you followed that, was a couple dozen snaps. I don't know if that turns into enough opportunity for Tony Pollard to be considered viable for fantasy football. I would probably not be playing him. Michael Carter. Okay, so the New York Jets. Michael Carter is back. We knew this a few days ago. The coaching staff talking about he should be the main guy. So he's active. Tevin Coleman is active. But Ty Johnson, their pass-catching guy, he's been eating into Michael Carter's workload, a month ago. He is out. LaMichael Pirine remains out. Michael Carter, to me, should see that opportunity that we were told we would see a couple days ago for the coaching staff. So if you have him back in the running back 2 territory, the Miami Dolphins matchup is not the best, but the volume should be there. Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard will both play for the Philadelphia Eagles. I suppose that Sanders is still in the front, but it's a messy, messy situation. Rex Burkhead, who was ruled out. I mean, this should be a no-takesy-backsies situation, Al Borland, when I'm trying to set some lineups over here.
It should.
And they tell me that a dude is out, and they're like, oh, just kidding. He's back. And this wasn't like COVID out, where he managed to get through some protocols, and now he's back. No, they said he was out. David Johnson's the main guy. Not anymore. It's probably Rex Burkhead to be the primary running back. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the Houston Texans are going to do. Avoid. I mean, not everyone could avoid everything. I totally understand that, but we don't know what that's going to shake out to be. Leonard Fournette for the Tampa Bay Bucks, he is expected to play, so I would be playing him as usual. Both Broncos running backs are listed as expected to play. Nothing different there. Darrell Henderson was activated from the COVID list. So if you recall, he was missing time because of the injury. And then this past week he was on the COVID list, so he definitely could not play. He will be back. That's the Tuesday night game, TuesdayNightFootball.com. Of course, how does this shake out for Sony? We don't know. We have no idea what this tandem is going to look like now that both are fully healthy. Unfortunately for fantasy football, the timing of that is the final game of the Week 15 playoff slate. So how am I handling that? I think that Sony has turned this into at least a 50-50 timeshare, and it could be Sony up a little bit more than that. Then we got Elijah Mitchell is out. My name is Jeff Wilson. He'll get some reps. DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams are both out yet again. And so, I don't know. I don't know if Craig is good to go or not. Other guys that are out, Kareem Hunt is out. Carlos Hyde is out. James Robinson with the coaching change. With Carlos Hyde, his true backup, being out with the concussion, James Robinson's floor is raised. Zach Moss, another healthy scratch for him. So Devin Singletary becomes sort of interesting. J.D. McKissick remains questionable for Tuesday's game. Collins questionable because of the reserve COVID list. Rashad Penny still should be the starter for that situation. And now, that was just the running backs. This is absolutely absurd. I can't recall a Sunday Live with this much like actual really pertinent relative news. At the wide receiver position, DJ Moore will play. He was limited by the hamstring. We'll see how good to go he is. Sterling Shepard will play. Odell Beckham, if you waited and you hoped and you prayed and you just crossed everything on your body that you can cross.
You're talking about Andy, right?
I am mostly talking about Andy, but I know there were other players out there who are doing this. Odell Beckham activated. He will play on Tuesday night. He was certainly out during, just go back in time a couple days ago when the protocols were last year's protocols and the game was on Sunday. But Odell Beckham is back, so thank the fantasy gods for that one if you've got him. Marquise Brown expected to play. This one is tough, though. With no Lamar, Marquise Brown becomes a very questionable play. Jarvis and Tyler. So Jarvis is Monday. Tyler Lockett is Tuesday. They are both considered questionable to return to play. They are on the COVID list. They could clear in time. It's very tough. Hopefully your league has the rules that we have talked about, since last year of essentially a nomination saying, I am going to play Tyler Lockett. If it turns out that he is knocked out of the game because of the COVID protocols, then I would be playing player X. So it's kind of too late to institute that, but just bringing it up just in case you forgot your league has those rules. Washington, Terry McLaurin, and Curtis Samuel are both questionable. They are both questionable plays at best for fantasy football. Curtis Samuel's out. I mean, you can't play him. MVS will play. Adam Thielen is considered questionable for Monday night. I did not realize that he got that upgrade. I would expect him to still be out, but the fact that it's a Monday, if you're firing up KJ Osborne, oh my gosh, Week 15. This is the Week 15 from hell. This is so rough. Sanders will be out for Buffalo. Jalen Waddle, he did not make the cut. He couldn't test negative, so he will be out for the Miami Dolphins today. Mike Gesicki remains very interesting. The Lizard King will be out. That's just fun to bring up because he's the Lizard King. Zach Ertz will play. David Njoku activated, will play. And let's see, we got Waller remains out. Tyler Higbee is questionable, so is Austin Hooper. Okay. Oh, my goodness. We made it through. And now we will go over to the start sit tool. Thank you for bearing with me as I got through that, because that's very important stuff. You need to hear the whole landscape. TheFantasyFootballers.com, that is where the rankings are live. They are being updated. I will, of course, go put my final updates in after the show. But we have a start-sit tool that lets you know player X, player Y, based on our projections, who we would start. And we gather the hot trending players, and then we talk about them.
He's so hot right now.
All right, Owl Borland.
All right, we're going to blitz a couple guys before we get into the people's questions. First person is going to be Rashad Penny facing the Rams Tuesday night. So Rashad Penny or Jeff Wilson Jr. against the Falcons.
Okay, so clearly the matchup is much better for Jeff Wilson. Elijah Mitchell is out. So, I mean, Elijah Mitchell is still his biggest competitor for touches, although they've turned Debo into this hybrid running back player, mostly running back player, I guess, recently. He has very few catches in the last few games. Rashad Penny, oh, man. So the Rams are still a pretty solid front. They held James Conner to a very pedestrian day on the ground. He had rushing touchdowns. I get it. The Seattle offense is not as good as the Arizona offense. And James Conner really made the noise in the passing game against the Rams. I'm not sure that that's going to be Rashad Penny's job, even as the primary 1A last week. I believe it was one target. So he wasn't being featured in that part of the game. He had two really huge runs against an inferior Houston Texans opponent. Can he hit? Does he have the opportunity to hit the home run against the Rams? It's not as likely. Jeff Wilson has been so bad for fantasy football. It's really hard to recommend him again. And so I do not blame people at all for going Rashad Penny. But if they were both on my team, I would chase the implied team total of the 49ers. It was at like 28 points over the week. That's where I would go. I don't have a high amount of confidence for that play, though. Who's next?
Okay, Rashad Penny or Deonta Foreman versus the Steelers?
That one's Deontay Foreman for me. The opportunity is there. The matchup is there. He was my deeper start of the week for a reason. I think that he is good to go. His opportunity should be – the opportunity floor for Foreman should be 13 to 14 opportunities at the floor, chances for rushing touchdowns. He was their guy. Don't completely just chase the box score of last week with McNichols. McNichols, they just put him in the second half, which, although I guess that is interesting that they chose to go that direction to McNichols. Maybe they just wanted to get him some reps because he was just back. But I would play Foreman over Rashad Penny. Who's next?
Okay, how about in the same game, Rashad Penny or Sony Michel?
Oh, my goodness gracious. All right.
And obviously, if Henderson doesn't play for some reason, the answer is Sony.
Of course. Yeah. I get what you're saying. So let's go through the flow chart. Henderson's active. Sony Michel is active. Would you play Sony over Rashad Penny? Man, you gotta look at your conviction. How do you truly feel about the Rams situation? It's very difficult to have complete and total confidence that that Sony is either the backup, the timeshare, or the leader of the timeshare. I mean, you got a real rock, paper, scissors situation, and if you're wrong, it will be very costly. I would take the volume of Rashad Penny in that situation. His ceiling is probably not what Sony is, regardless of the paper rock, scissors outcome, because of touchdown upside for the Rams. They're going to score a lot of points against Seattle. But the volume of Rashad Penny is what I would chase if that were my exact decision. That's Week 15. Week 15, y'all.
Okay, and last one, Rashad Penny or A.J. Dillon versus the Ravens?
Gotcha. I would go with A.J. Dillon. If you have not followed exactly what is happening to the Ravens, it's not just Lamar is out. Jimmy Smith this morning, if I recall correctly, he was put on the COVID list. Like, their team is decimated. just decimated right now. Injuries, COVID, no starting quarterback. Like, they are going to be in a bad way. And the way I look at that is I think that the Packers are going to take care of the Baltimore Ravens. And I do believe that in the second half, that will turn into a bunch of carries for A.J. Dillon. When you're heading into the playoffs, this is just philosophical. When you're heading into the playoffs, this team doesn't need to put a bunch of wear on Aaron Jones' body right now. Like, he is a electric running back, and you need his playmaking upside. Why grind him down right now when you could just have a 250-pound man whose body can take those carries over and over? This is what they did last week. It was Aaron Jones got those touchdowns, lead, A.J. Dillon, you come in and you run out that clock. So I would go with A.J. Dillon over Rashad Penny. Oh, yeah. Woo!
All right, let's move over to Taysom Hill facing the Buccaneers Sunday night. Taysom Hill or Jalen Hurts against the Washington football team?
All right, so as reported by me earlier in this broadcast, Jalen Hurts remains questionable. I would expect by Tuesday we get on the more positive side of the 50-50. But, so, okay, here's the thing. If you have Jalen Hurts, if that's how you are rolling, what night is that? Are they the Tuesday game? Or are they Monday?
They are, sorry, they are Tuesday.
They are Tuesday. Oh, man, I was thinking the Rams were Tuesday. But regardless, a lot of moving and shaking going on in the NFL. Okay, so Jalen Hurts is Tuesday. I'm expecting him to play. But if you have Jalen Hurts, if you are riding, do not ride dirty right now. You need to get Gardner Minshew on your bench. If Jalen Hurts is your guy and, like, you're not thinking about any of these other quarterbacks, Gardner needs to be on your bench right now. Do not be caught in that situation where your opponent can pick up Gardner and then you're just like, well, I don't have a quarterback now for the fantasy playoffs. So I would factor that into my decision of, am I going to play Taysom Hill against Tampa Bay, which is a very tough matchup, or Jalen Hurts, knowing I'm backed up by Gardner Minshew. So if at worst, I have Gardner, who is more than capable of putting up an okay fantasy day against the Washington football team. But I would, man, the injury to Hurts makes this such a difficult question. I would, if it were my team, I would play Jalen Hurts. And man, that's a very, very difficult call there. If it were my team, I would put Gardner on my bench and I would play Jalen Hurts. I think his upside is just higher than Taysom's. I think Taysom is fine. So maybe, okay, there's another factor. Looking at your matchup, are you a solid favorite and you just need that top 12 performance by your quarterback? You don't need them to take you that potential top 3. Then I would roll with Taysom Hill.
Okay, Taysom or Tua against the Jets?
Okay. This is not a fun day today for me. The pressure is just so heavy of wanting to make sure that I'm giving thoughtful answers of my process here. All right, Taysom Hill or Tua, because of what could happen to the Dolphins. And by what I mean, what could happen is Tua has a fine day. Tua throws for 290 yards. He completes, 65, 70% of his passes. But it's the Jets. And then just because of how the ball bounces, every touchdown goes to Myles Gaskin or Ahmed on the ground. That is in the range of outcomes for the Saints. Wait, who am I talking about? No. The Dolphins against the Jets.
Yep.
Lost myself for a moment. That's in the range of outcomes for the Dolphins. And yeah, of course, you're saying, well, Alvin Kamara, but they will need Taysom Hill to get Kamara involved. You're not able to really run on them. I think Kamara will score a lot of points through the air this particular week. And they are currently neck and neck in my rankings, and I would play Taysom Hill over Tua just slightly, though.
Okay, last one before we go to the people. Taysom Hill or Jimmy Handsome Garoppolo?
Oh, Jimmy Handsome.
He's facing the Falcons.
He is. He was my lower key start of the week that I felt like maybe you couldn't get Taysom Hill off the wire, and you go to Jimmy Garoppolo. I would play Taysom. That they will be more reliant on him for the offense. Where Jimmy's in a spot where he can definitely be a surprise week-winning quarterback here against the Falcons, especially with what George Kittle is doing lately. Who's just, man, that dude's on fire. But I would roll with Taysom. I just think that his rushing ability will be so much more important to what the Saints have to do than what the 49ers have to do. All right, so that clears up the trending players.
It does. Let's move on.
Oh, gosh.
Stardom, set 'em.
All right, let's get right into it. Reese wants to know Craig Reynolds, that's the Detroit Lions, if you were wondering, or Noah Fant in a PPR flex. Oh, if it's my team, I have to play Noah Fant. Noah Fant has been so incredibly disappointing this year, so incredibly. But it's not just him. It's every Denver Broncos wide receiver. But Craig Reynolds is essentially a dude off the street that the Lions were saying a lot of good things about him. But if you roll into Sunday and Craig Reynolds doesn't touch the ball a single time, I won't be surprised. So because of that, I have to play Noah Fant in the PPR. That helps ease the pain of throwing Noah Fant in there. Next question. Zachary wants to know Hurts or Jimmy G. We essentially answered that I would go with Jalen Hurts with the backup plan of Gardner Minshew. Let's see. The next question is from Ryan Gross. Wants to know Gabe Davis or DJ Moore. DJ Moore with that hamstring injury and the overall passing offense of the Carolina Panthers. Let's not leave that part out of the equation. That it's gross. What's happening with Carolina just seems absolutely disgusting. But Moore is still the number one in the offense. I would take the worst quarterback in the volume over Gabe Davis, who to me it would be the number 3 option in the passing game. That's absolute best case scenario for Davis. Worst case scenario is he's barely involved and he's like the 5th option and just gets a couple targets here. They're higher value targets. I get it. Down the field that's what he does. But I would go with DJ Moore in that situation. Next question is Steven wants to know in a PPR, Devontae Freeman or Deontay Foreman? This one is Foreman to me. Freeman has been making us all look dumb for doubting his ability at this point. I mean, he's certainly no spring chicken. He does not look at all like the breakout version, the young man version of Freeman, because he's not. Now he's an old man now in terms of a running back. But you have no Lamar Jackson. You've got a really tough Green Bay defense. I would take the matchup and the volume for Deontay Foreman. All right, we got time for a couple more questions. Don't forget thefantasyfootballers.com for our rankings. Also, pristineauction.com. Don't want to neglect our sponsor because they help us keep the lights on. Pristine Auction, the best sports memorabilia site of all time. Use the code BALLERS when you make your account. It's a registration code, people. BALLERS, $10 for your first auction victory, pristineauction.com. Next question is, whatever, let's go to it. Matt wants to know Chase Edmonds or James Conner. It is a full-point PPR. Because heading into the weekend, this would have easily been Chase Edmonds. If all 3 running backs were activated, this would easily be Chase Edmonds. Following the transaction of Eno Benjamin being inactive, I have to believe that the Cardinals have full belief in there's a double belief situation, which can get you very much in trouble. But I think that they're saying that James Conner is good to go. James Conner will be the touchdown guy. He's He's been a much better fantasy play on the course of the season over Chase Edmonds, who is just returning from the IR. How much gas does he have? We'll find out. Let's see. King Palmer. Yeah, King Palmer says Tyler Higbee or Adam Troutman. So Tyler Higbee is questionable. He's on the COVID list. He may or may not come back. So generally, if that was not a factor, the answer would be Higbee. As much as, I love Adam Troutman, who I think he could be okay. All the nice things I said about Nick Vannett for this matchup with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they are also true about Adam Troutman. But I wish I could play Higbee, but you could be backing yourself into a bad corner with that situation. Look on your waiver wire. And then we'll go, oh gosh, I'm trying to find a question. We have players we haven't talked about. RJ wants to know AJ Green, Darnell Mooney, or Julio Jones. I wish the answer could be Julio, but you just don't know for sure that he will play a full allotment of snaps yet, as they are working him back off of his hamstring injury. Darnell Mooney against Minnesota, that is super delightful. Of course, because that's how it always works. I have Mooney one spot ahead of A.J. Green currently in my rankings. I think that Mooney is the higher upside. I think A.J. Green has the safer floor. So, not that Mooney's floor is unsafe, but as you saw last week where Justin Fields put up a bunch of production and Darnell Mooney really didn't do anything, it can happen. For my team, I would be playing Darnell Mooney. And then one for fun, before I got to get out of here, I got to update those rankings. We're going to go with Tyler wants to know Brandon Cooks or Rashad Penny. I'm going with Cooks here against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think that actually could be a fun NFL game. I mean, both bad teams, both playing for nothing, just for next year. But somehow I think we might get a good game out of that one. That's going to do it, everybody. TheFantasyFootballers.com, that's where the rankings are right now. I wish you the best of luck. It's Week 15. Try to enjoy it. Don't just tilt the whole time, and keep it beautiful. Mwah.